Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is August 19th, and right now we're looking at the watches, warnings, advisories out there. And you can see we've got some of these red boxes out there. Those are extreme heat watches up and down San Joaquin Valley, I-5 corridor, Merced, Fresno, Bakersfield. We've got some fire weather watches. We've got red flag warnings. If you click inside some of the interior areas, extreme heat warnings are in effect. We got heat advisories. We got fire danger out there. We got a big heat dome building across the region, and we're also going to be funneling monsoon moisture back up across California and Nevada, and we'll be going over that in some detail here as we go through the video this morning. So let's just jump into things here and look at the visible satellite imagery. We do have some of that marine layer across San Diego, Los Angeles this morning. It's not much, and as you go northwest of Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, Ventura counties, coastal areas, central coast up towards the Bay Area, just a little bit of marine layer, but largely sunny up and down the coastline all the way up through Northern California. You can see some of that monsoon moisture stirring across Arizona, and this is going to get a big push across the region as we go through the next few days. So no lightning strikes over the last 24 hours to speak of, and I just want to go over this really quickly here as well. As you can see, there is some smoke drifting northbound from some of the fires across the Baja Peninsula, moving back up over Southern California, and you can kind of see the Gifford fire flaring up a little bit there, and nothing like what it was doing here, but just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. There's probably going to be more fires coming up here over the next few days as well. We're going to have some pretty favorable conditions to develop some more fires, or get some smoke going from fires that are already existing out there. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind, but not too bad right now. Now, taking a look at what's going on here, we're looking at 18,000 feet, kind of the mid-levels of the atmosphere. This is last night's European model run here. Hawaiian Islands are the bottom left. California is right here. Now, watch what develops just off to the east of California across the four corners. See that high developing there? That's got a clockwise rotation. It's going to start to funnel some of that monsoon moisture back up into California and Nevada. And if we put that into motion, you see that ridge is not going anywhere in a hurry. It just kind of stays there and gets very dominant. You see this ridge axis go all the way up the west coast of North America. It's going to get very warm across the region, and the thunderstorm activity has the potential of moving in over some areas. And as I scroll way off into the future here, we're going out 120 hours. And you see the ridge is still dominating the southwest portion of the USA. Now, if we take a look at 39,000 feet up in the atmosphere, look at this anticyclone. This is that ridge there. And if I put that into motion, I'm just going to spin through the 6-day period here and then back and forth. You can see where that ridge is spinning like a top right across the Four Corners region, kind of northeast Arizona to be specific. And yeah, that's what's going to bring that monsoon moisture and the very warm conditions. Now, looking at precipitable water, I'm going to scroll the map down here a little bit. You can see California, Nevada. Right now, we've got some below normal precipitable water amounts across the region, but as I scroll through here over the next few days, you'll see we're now going on in towards, let me scroll the map up a little bit there so we can see that we're now into Thursday morning. You see that monsoon moisture start to make its way back into California and Nevada, and it starts to spread its way northbound a little bit. Some of the models been showing some of this monsoon moisture getting a little bit further up across the Sierra Nevada, up towards Lake Tahoe, and even northeast portions, Lassen County, portions of Nevada, as well as we go on in through Friday. Now we're on into Saturday, Sunday. Monsoon stays with us all the way on into the early portion of next week before we finally probably start to get a break as we go through the midweek period all the way on into next week. So probably close to a week of this monsoon moisture going to be moving up and across the area. Not in the range of high resolution models just yet, but once we are, we'll be showing that, and we'll try to nail down some of these details because these global models can be very poor at predicting some of that activity moving out over some of the coastal areas and just what and how far this moisture is going to be moving off across the state of California. So Los Angeles, California, as I mentioned, all kinds of stuff going on here. Red flag warnings for some of the higher terrain. We've got fire weather watch, extreme heat warnings, except for the immediate coastline right now. We also have some wind advisory. We've got the sundowner winds going, the strong northwest winds that come in during the late evening and the overnight hours before they relax in the morning hours. Now, look at San Diego, California as well. They're talking about this shower chances for Friday. You can see they've upped these percentages there, and they see Mount Laguna. There's Big Bear Lake, and you can see some of the desert areas, bumping up the chances as well. Look at Joshua Tree, Palm Springs, and it even shows a little bit of chance. They know better. They know that the storms potentially could start drifting out over some of the lower elevations. I can't tell you how many times you get some of this monsoon moisture, and it's like, oh, it's going to be across the higher terrain, maybe some of the desert areas, yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you've got thunderstorms out over the coastal waters and whatnot, and over downtown Los Angeles and things like that, and lightning strikes going on there. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind. As we get closer, we'll get a better picture on that, though. Now, moderate fire danger here, as you can see, National Weather Service, Hanford. This goes for a lot of the area, so just kind of get that drilled into your head to just be very careful over the next few days as we go all the way on into the weekend and potentially on into early next week. Now, looking at the winds here, this is the North American model. You can see how we got northwest winds down the coastal areas. Watch as we go on into the day today. You see this wind starting to seep in and start to push in there as we really warm up the interior portions, of the valley areas here and across much of the desert southwest. You start to bring this big imbalance between the cooler ocean waters, and of course that air wants to rush in there and it starts pushing through the terrain features in the Bay Area. It starts to rush down through the San Joaquin Valley, and you get these northwest winds, the sundowner winds rolling over the mountain ranges out towards Santa Barbara and Ventura County, and that can cause some dry conditions and help kick off some of those fires. So you can kind of see those strong winds as we go through tonight. It relaxes a bit as we go through tomorrow, but then as we get towards the afternoon hours again, you see that northwest wind return across the region as we go on in through Wednesday. Look at it really pick up as we go through Wednesday evening, Wednesday night, and then of course we're going to do that yet again on Thursday. And a closer look here. So this is the Bay Area. And I'm going to back this up a little bit here for today. And you can kind of see the winds are relaxed as we go through the morning hours. But again, as we go through the afternoon hours, you can see that gradient increase, and you start to really bring these winds ripping through the terrain features here, and they turn northwesterly down through the valley areas. And of course, you can also see on the coastline, I want to point that out. You can see you don't have to go far off the coast to get into some gale force winds, but right along the immediate coast, they're fairly brisk. But once you get right offshore, ask any mariner up and down the California coastline there just how strong those winds can get in the afternoon and evening hours. Now, total precipitation, what everybody wants to talk about here is how much rainfall are we going to get from this monsoon fest here coming up. So let's take a look, and we're going to scroll on into the day on Thursday. You see, Thursday looks like the initial maybe a thunderstorm or two popping up across some of the peninsula up towards the transverse range. As we go through Friday, you see it stretch up across the Sierra Nevada up towards Lake Tahoe, peninsular range, transverse range, some of the desert areas. Nevada starts getting in on the action as well. Saturday, yet again, look at that bump on Saturday. Look at that, starting to move out over some of the transverse range towards Santa Barbara and Ventura County. Got to watch for some of those coming off the higher terrain as well. And you can see Northeast California also on Saturday starts to get exposed to some of that monsoon moisture. Sunday, boom. Monday, boom. You can kind of see that precipitation still beefing up here across a lot of the areas. And again, once we get to some of the high resolution stuff, we'll get a better look at this. But yeah, that is definitely a signal for some of this moving all the way off into Oregon even, and across central and southern California. As we go off into Tuesday, again, look at some of these precipitation amounts. Excuse me, frog in my throat today, across some of Nevada, Arizona as well, and moving on to some of the desert areas. So yeah, active period definitely coming up here. And as we scroll all the way out into the future there, you can kind of see some hefty amounts across, portions of Nevada, Sierra Nevada really getting a lot, and maybe some of the higher terrain. Again, we're going to come in heavier with some of these amounts, no doubt, as we get closer to the event. Now, this is the European Artificial Intelligence. This is the 10th percentile. This is what we can expect probably on the lowest end of things here. And you can still see that's going to bring thunderstorms across some of the mountainous areas, Southern California, desert, Sierra Nevada, all the way up through Northern California. Nevada getting a good dose of precipitation here over the next week or two. Arizona as well. And this is just the 10th percentile. Watch when I click it to the 90th percentile. You can see much heavier amounts. So we're probably going to be somewhere in between those two values, but you can see that some of those storms could be even moving across some of the valley areas. We got to watch it closely. Now, looking at daily 2-meter max temperature, the other story here is the big heat event coming up. So if we go through Wednesday, you notice the warm up. We're already punching back up towards 100 degrees there for the northern Sacramento Valley. Tomorrow, There's Thursday. Look at that, 106, 101 for Bakersfield. Sacramento getting back up over 100 degrees. You're still doing okay for San Francisco, which you're going to be for most of the event here, except for the immediate coastline. Once you get right off the coast, we are going to really ramp up some of these temperatures. So there goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Very warm conditions going up through this weekend at least, and maybe on into the early portion of next week. And if we take a look at Southern California, again, you want to beat the heat. You got to go right along the coastline. We go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Look at the heat just ramp up across the region. You get away from the coastal areas and you're getting up over 100 degrees. And of course, you go to Palm Springs out there and Blythe, California. You're going to be dealing with 100 and teens. And then we go to Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Maybe a slow, gradual cool down as we go through next week. We'll see how that turns out. Now, this is Ontario, just bringing you the wet bulb globe temperature here. So you can see the warmest day is probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Ontario International Airport shown there. John Wayne, Orange County. You can see, you're getting into moderate levels here. Even for today, we're starting to warm things up pretty well. And this goes on through Sunday before we start the gradual cool down. Palm Springs, similar thing here as well. You're going through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday before this gradual cool down starts to come. Blythe, something similar. Sacramento, ramping up the temperatures here as you go through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. Here's San Francisco. You don't have to worry about it here. If you're right along the immediate coastline where the international airport areas are very close to the water, you're not going to be dealing with the elevated, moderate, or high conditions. Now, looking at Palm Springs, this is what's known as precipitable water. You can clearly see where we are now versus where we are going. The moisture is coming in here, and it's probably going to peak during the later portion of this week and on into this weekend and continue on in through the early portion of next week as well. Now, this is Las Vegas. You can kind of see there's 50 ensemble members there, and you can see all this numbers and all these colors bumping around out there. Pretty good chance of some measurable precipitation coming in as we start to head towards the weekend and early portion of next week. Palm Springs, something similar there as well. Not as good agreement there, but definitely going to have the potential for multiple rounds of thunderstorms moving across the area. Los Angeles, some of these ensembles throw some bigger amounts towards Los Angeles, but a lot of them don't have anything. Again, this will become much clearer as we go over the next few days. San Diego, something similar, does have some pretty hefty amounts though in some of those individual ensemble members, so we'll have to watch that for sure. Here's Big Bear. You're across the higher terrain now, and you can see multiple rounds of thunderstorms kind of on a daily basis here as we go through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all the way on in through maybe Monday. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. And Reno, you're starting to move a little bit further north here. And again, a few days here of thunderstorm potential as that monsoon moisture creeps its way across portions of Nevada. Here's Truckee Tahoe Airport. Again, multiple round of thunderstorms possible. Even out towards Redding, you can see some of that precipitation starts moving in here as we go on into the early portion of next week. And here's the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook above normal across the West Coast. Look at that monsoon signal there for a 6 to 10 day. Nice to see it. August 24th through 28th. And there's the 8 to 14 day, and then kind of a broad brush above normal across much of the West Coast. We won't worry about that too much just yet. So the channel's doing, pretty good here. We're getting up towards 34,000 subscribers. So click like and subscribe if you would. What else? So we'll continue to break things down. I can't wait to see what happens when the high resolution models start to get in range coming up here, and we'll break it all down again tomorrow. And I will talk to you guys then.